Cambridge Radio is powered by volunteers who care about sharing the voices, stories and sounds of our city. But rising costs from rent to equipment and music licences mean we need your help. By this September, we need to raise enough money to secure our future in 2027. If Cambridge Radio has ever made you smile, kept you company, or helped you feel part of this city, please donate today. Visit cambridge.radio/support us.
Flavour.
This is Cambridge Radio.
I'm going to read you the menu. It's fantastic.
So we get better flavour because of the fen soil.
I've drunk more beer since I came here and bought my 2 barrels than I've ever done in my life before, I think.
I shouldn't have said almonds, they don't make it from almonds.
So you've got this big sticky mess when you start off.
Pizza, pots, pints.
My wife's cakes are selling at hot cakes. Brilliant, thank you.
The time is right for this sort of thing.
Food is everything.
Cambridge is right for this sort of thing.
What's it like? Delicious.
Good afternoon, welcome to Flavour, bringing you local food and drink news and features for the next hour. I'm Matt Bentman, here live in the studio with Alan Alder and Sue Bailey, who are going to tell us what's coming up in today's programme.
Matthew Juggins of Dovecote Wine is here with helpful advice to manage intense reds during this intense heat.
Whilst a company called Coca United takes us in the other direction with low and no alcohol drinks.
Food columnist and cookbook author Jenny Jeffries talks about her latest title.
And we'll have our regular features too. Free food in Cambridge, local food and drink news, social media updates, and at the end of the programme, our jobs roundup.
Now, there's no escaping the World Cup. Well, there is, you just don't have to watch it, it's not hard. But for the rest of us, it's exciting, especially with tonight's match. If you're listening to us live on Saturday, there's often a lot of talk around money multipliers boosting a local economy. Remember when the Tour de France came through Cambridge in 2014? The crowds were insane. Or getting extremely local when Batman parked in Burleigh Street that same year. Forbidden Planet sold lots of extra comics that day. So, for our first feature, I went to visit Calverley's. Calverley's are an independent brewery on Hooper Street, because beer and football can be a match made in a taproom. So I was reading briefly about the World Cup effect. The World Cup drives this huge surge in revenue for pubs and bars, according to data that's been pulled from the point-of-sale machines, which records all of the transactions across the country, and then works out whether there has been an increase or not. And then there was also comments like from the British Beer and Pub Association. They reckon that each pub could sell an extra 1,240 pints per England match. Have you noticed any difference?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even the England game in the early hours of the morning still had a nice crowd. I mean, it helps the fact that it's extremely warm. So at 2-3 in the morning, it's still quite pleasant to be outside. Because Cambridge is quite cosmopolitan, it's not just the England matches that have been well attended. Other games have also had a nice sport. So.
I thought he headed the ball, but looking at the replay, I mean, it's guaranteed handball.
So Monday morning, it was England v Mexico, and it started an hour later. Like you say, when you have the World Cup and you have the strong weather, is it a case of got to make hay while the sun shines? You know, is this a peak time for you?
Ironically, it's a little bit hard to actually produce beer for us in this kind of heat because it's just a nightmare with cooling equipment and crashing the beers down once they've stopped fermenting can be a bit tricky. But it's funny because in a way the slightly antisocial times of the games have been a bit of a blessing because you get the crowd that come in the afternoon, evening, and then if you've got a game, say, at 10 o'clock, you get that extra crowd. So actually it's not really conflicting with the trade that you're doing in the nice weather, it's just adding to it. And we've got a good amount of bookings for tonight's game.
Is this both at the tap room in Hooper Street and down at the engineer's house?
Yes.
Lads battled well, you know, because at the moment I'm struggling a little bit. But I don't think I was struggling when it hit the back of the net. Like.
This time, more than any
And of course, Calverley's has seen quite a few World Cups because you've been open since, was it 2014, I think?
We never used to show any sports, but at both venues, we've got a big projector in the tap room for big sports events, and we've got a couple of screens for outside for the World Cup at the Engineers' House. Yeah, it's been great to see people coming along and enjoying themselves.
It shows the ball for people to go for it, and as it comes, it just rides them off.
So this week we've got our brand new version of our farmhand pale, an ideal sort of summer refresher. It's brewed with a saison yeast, so it has a little bit more depth than a typical pale ale. Quite moorish, but slight kind of wine, I suppose similarities to it. We cycle through about 50 odd beers that just come back every now and again.
So that's your rolling roster.
There's a huge amount of changing beers, yeah. Which is, yeah, it's nice because there's always something slightly different to try, really. Because we don't have to brand each beer up. It's getting put straight on tap. We haven't got a lengthy process of design or anything like that. We just get the descriptions out and serve it. But you imagine if you were trying to sell to a lot of other businesses, they'd want pump clips, and so we've got an agility by not going down that route.
I'm just pleased we're in the semi-final of the Cup. Give Gary a word, will you?
There's always new hops that we're testing. At the moment, we're just in the process of bringing some of our gluten testing in-house, so expect to see a few more gluten-free beers on offer, meet the demands of gluten-free customers.
You look pretty emotional out there at times today.
Well, my dad was up there and he doesn't come off say as much, you know, but I was pleased to get a goal in front of him, really pleased.
So if you're looking for somewhere to enjoy a few nice craft beers and watch the England-Norway game tonight, 10 o'clock, pop down to either the Engineers' House or the tap room. Cheers.
Gentlemen, thank you for talking to us. Good luck. Thank you.
That was Sam Calverley from his bar and tap room on Hooper Street, talking to me on one of the hottest days of the year. I spoke to Sam because of articles I've been reading in the media about the World Cup effect providing a much-needed boost to the hospitality sector, and whether that was really true. And Sam said that, yes, well, it's nice, but it doesn't really touch the sides when it comes to the real issues he faces. The main one being incredibly high energy costs and the 20% VAT rate compared to Europe's 12.5% on average, and of course the minimum wage increases as well. But we've got to be British about this, because there is an important match tonight and we need to support our men, and that includes Sam and Tom Calverley, down at Riverside at the Engineers' House. So do it. If not for your king, then for your community radio station.
I'm free. I'm free.
And now Matt has details of free food available in and around Cambridge, and the information about what's available and where to get it, that comes from the Olio app, which exists so that people's or businesses' surplus food doesn't go to waste.
That's right. And looking at Olio for Cambridge today, we can see that Suzanne on Rustat Road, which is opposite the train station, she has a selection of bread items to give away. 2 6-packs of soft rolls, 1 6-pack of large soft rolls, 2 sourdough white ciabattas. She's also got a few packets of chilies as well. Each pack has a dozen or so mini chilies. Next up is Serena off Mill Road near Hot Numbers Coffee. Serena's also got bread to offer, 3 giraffe baguettes, a French stone-baked white baton, and 2 Oreo donuts, all available for collection. Then there's Dee and Paul, who live in Cherry Hinton off Teasle Way. They've got a Hovis Farmhouse batch loaf, 2 Scotch rolls, baguettes and bloomers, and that's about it, really. There was someone who was giving away their own home-cooked food a few days ago, some medium-hot peri-peri chicken, simply because they couldn't handle eating it during this current heat wave. And during the weekdays on Olio, you tend to see a lot more salads, a lot more sandwiches, filled rolls, fruit, that sort of thing. So there you go. That's our quick look at free food available on the Olio app today.
OK, and don't forget also the Too Good To Go app, and that has unsold food from restaurants, cafes and shops You do have to buy it, but it's often less than half price, and otherwise it would be binned at the end of the day's trading. And a lot of places use it: shops, restaurants, cafes, hotels, big ones, small ones, middle-sized ones, all of them.
Lovely idea. Now, Vandana Banerjee is the director of Coca United, a company that takes unwanted surplus fruit from local fruit farmers and turns it into natural, non-alcoholic and low-alcohol wines, spritzers and cocktails. It's all about the artistry of mindful drinking. I met with Vandana this week at a tasting event in Little Gransden on the farm.
A big thanks to all the believers of the journey that I have begun. And as you know, I just don't drink. And I felt that there are a lot of people around who choose not to drink, but they do not have the right choice of a drink which is being served to them. And this journey took me around the world for almost 2 years, and this is where I discovered a lot of farmers having excess fruit. And as you know, in the old times they make these lovely jams from the excess fruit, but I have met a beautiful two innovators in this in Germany and Spain, and they're fifth generation farmers of Mr. Geiger and Torangino, the Antalo family, and they are actually growing oranges from Valencia. As you know, it's famous, a DOC for oranges, and this is when they crafted this lovely orange wine made with real tangerine orange. So not only working with their local fruit but excess fruit and turning their own excess fruit into innovation, but the recognition that these farmers and creators have done with their beverages and winning world awards and innovation awards worldwide just made me realize how many more such farmers are there around the world with their fruit, and how we could go around this journey uniting all the farmers with their local stories, with their own fruit, and converting them into the lovely beverage, the orange wines and the non-alcoholic range we have from Germany. It's all about empowering farmers, fruit, and making these into more mindful choices for the audiences who are seeking to have a better choice to drink, especially the zero, which are 100% fruit based and there's no fermentation in that. Why not work with the local farmers? And that's where the whole Cambridge farmers opened up. I met a lot of farmers here talking about their local stories and how fruit gets wasted in their farms, and how could we take this forward in some kind of innovation. This is where I would really love to work with Cambridge farmers and the excess fruit to make a better world.
Just tell me a little bit about what the different products are, because they're really got some exceptionally good flavours.
The exceptional taste is because it's 100% made with real fruit. It's not a flavour, it's not a puree, or it's not a concentrate. And in all of the products, there's no preservatives or citric acids, which is commonly used. So it's pretty much a clean product, and people say it's delicious. One being where the low alcohol range we have, the 7%. These products are crafted with 3 months of fermentation only, not later than that. So there's a technique in which when at 3 months when they're bottled, you can still feel the freshness of the fruit and a bit of the fermentation that's happening at a 7% alcohol. So it's a lovely balance of a low with the alcohol where you can still feel the goodness of the fruit. So when you actually have anything fruit fermented at a 13% or 14%, it's more of the domination of the alcohol in it and the less of the fruit flavor. So when people have these fruit, they say, wow, it's delicious, is the first thing that comes up. It's purely because it's a lovely balance at 7% where you have a little bit of the alcohol flavor and the fruit flavor in it. And I think that's where these are remarkably handcrafted, artisan, one-of-its-kind recipes in the world as of now.
Are they going to be going under your brand of Coca United, or are they going to be named Torangino, etc.? So
Torangino is a brand because Torangino in Spanish means orange. Mm-hmm. And as I said, they're orange producers, so they have done their own brand as Torangino. And the label is so cute and loved by a lot. It's Gonzalo's wife, Isa. She's a designer. So it's all in-house. Going forward, we want to keep the farmer's story and the farmer's origin and the DOC of where the whole journey started. They are very happy to give us new recipes, and we'll be coming out with the same Mandarin Zero now. And people love Zero in a Mandarin cocktail. As you know, that the German ones that we have is of the rose apple mint, and they're apple and pear based. So now we're coming with the Zero in the orange base as well. And same as with Mr. Geiger, a very lovely gentleman, works very hard on regenerative farming, empowers 400 farmers and all the apple trees in a UNESCO protected site. He fights for the Perry pear that's going extinct. He empowers a lot of children, communities to come together. He recently won the Innovator Award as well.
And he's based in Germany?
He's from Germany, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And I gather you've had some success. The Savoy, I gather you were saying, with wine and food pairing, is that correct?
Oh, yes. So we've done a lot of London wine fairs, and we do not know who comes in there. And one day I get a call from Chef Arnold Steven. This was my first initial years. So he said, Vandana, your orange wine is too good. So can you come for sampling? But that was a journey when I was really most happiest moment so I immediately called up to Rangino and I said, wow, this is super. And then it is not one chef. Now it was so many chefs who come up my way and they really love it. I think these are chefs' favorite. They really think that these products, the wines and the non-alcoholic, can be really paired with the food.
So if you want to find out more about Vandana, I gather you have an Instagram account and a website, is that correct?
And it's at Koki United, KHOKI United, and my website would be kokiunited.com. Always be mindful of what you consume. Always read your ingredients before you eat. This is where I think everybody misses that. We just go to supermarkets or anywhere blindly believing in something that's produced and a famous product, but not necessarily a good product. So just be mindful of what you eat and read your labels.
And drink, of course, as well.
And be mindful, please.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Vandana.
much.
Thank you.
Many thanks to Vandana Banerjee. You can see the full range of low and no alcohol drinks at kokiunited.com.
Well, now on to our first news briefing, starting with Hot Numbers, who have a new children's menu for the summer. Choose from pancakes, eggs or a sausage and bacon sandwich and a drink from just £5. That's available daily across all 3 of the Hot Numbers cafe sites.
Gonville Kitchen, an AA2 Rosette restaurant in Gonville Place, have released their summer menu, including new dishes like spatchcock spring chicken with potato fondant, celeriac puree and tarragon jus. Check out their full menu at gonvillekitchen.com.
Fermentable offers a host of workshops on fermentation. Their next class will teach you how to make your own gut-friendly ferments, such as kimchi, kombucha, and sauerkraut and water kefir. It's on the 18th of July, and you can book via the website fermentable.co.uk.
Well, if you're planning a barbecue in the sizzling weather this weekend, Clark & Son Butchers have got a steak for everyone. Tomahawk, ribeye, sirloin, rump, fillet and T-bone, and the staff can help you with advice on cooking it perfectly. And you can find Clark & Son Butchers on Granchester Street, which is just off Barton Road, very local to Newnham. They told their story on Flavour a few episodes ago, which you can find in our podcast.
Now, every Thursday in July, Cambridge Bid will have free live music in Cambridge's Station Square. It runs from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. There'll be a variety of food trucks from Food Park there, as well as an exhibition of local photography. And on Thursday the 23rd and the 30th of July, Cambridge Folk Festival will be providing the music.
Meated is a food truck and events caterer which is holding a Sunday barbecue at Burren on Mill Road. It was a sellout when they did it last year, so they're back once again with their barbecue tray for 2. It will feature oak-smoked British Wagyu brisket, Alabama-style smoked chicken thighs, whole hog pulled pork and barbecued pork belly burnt ends. It takes place on Sunday the 12th of July, which is tomorrow if you're listening live. Tickets are £55 for the tray for 2, and you can book online at burrencambridge.co.uk.
Cafe Foy on Quayside are holding a dinner and summer quiz evening on the 19th of July. On the menu will be rigatoni pasta in a vodka sauce, topped with induja and crispy breadcrumbs. The cost is £17.50 per person, but spaces are limited. So book your place by emailing cafefoy@gmail.com.
A new restaurant has opened on Mill Road. It's called Hungarian Soul. It's run by the family who own the Taste of Hungary restaurant and the Hungarian Deli, which sit side by side on Chesterton Road. And they were on our programme last November. There's another plug for our podcast. And expect plenty of traditional family recipe Hungarian dishes like goulash, gypsy-style steak, paprika fish and chicken paprikash from a cuisine that's proving, well, really popular in Cambridge.
Right, some local market news. Caxton Farmers Market is tomorrow, the 12th of July. Histon Country Market is every Friday from 9 till 12 noon. Great Shelford Market is every Wednesday 9 till 11:30. The next Country Market in Bourne takes place on Friday the 17th, and Cambourne's Community Market is every Friday from 9 till 12 noon. Also, there's a Foodie Friday that occurs every week at Ely Market from 4 till 8:30 p.m. and every Saturday the Clay Farm Market is running until 2 p.m. Anyway, that's our news for now. More later.
This week, I met with food writer Jenny Jeffries down on her farm. She's famous for such cookbooks as For the Love of the Land and its sequel, For the Love of the Sea. And Jenny has just come out with another, the Community Cookbook. Jenny, how many books is this now?
I think this is number 6.
Tell me a bit about it.
So the Community Cookbook was born from an idea whereby Adrian and Amanda Semarini, who's a local reverend in Gamlingay, they instigated or implemented what is known as the Gamlingay Food Project, which is like a food bank where people can donate food, unwanted food and surplus food to help people to fill up their baskets for their weekly shop. So this is like a community kitchen, and it's a fantastic initiative. They came to me asking if we could collaborate and help them do a community cookbook. So I invited amazing local chefs and foodies to contribute recipes using regularly donated ingredients to the community food project, and the community cookbook was born.
This is recently produced, I gather, this year.
Yes, it was published. We published it ourselves about a couple of months ago, and we got a fantastic grant from the South Cambridgeshire Community Chest. We got a grant to be able to implement printing, so we've printed 1,000 copies, and copies will be given out free with the food parcels to service users, and the surplus will be sold, the suggested donation of £10 a copy, to then raise funds for further projects, further fundraising and further printing of the book.
Oh, excellent. And have you had feedback about it yet?
We haven't had much feedback from the service users yet, but it has been greeted quite enthusiastically within the local communities. That it's a great idea, and it's just to give people a dignity and ideas of what they can do with the food that's donated, which is predominantly a non-perishable food like tins and things like that. So it's just to give ideas on what people can do with a can of peaches or a can of beans, and there's some fantastic, affordable, accessible recipes to hopefully give empowerment and to give people ideas of what they can do with the food that's donated.
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea, and I like the fact at the beginning of the community cookbook you give some suggestions about substitutions and about techniques and skills, which one assumes that people learned how to cook, but actually no. Sadly, with the demise of home economics and, OK, there's still food technology in schools, but not necessarily the food skills that people ideally should have.
Absolutely. There's a massive gap in knowledge when it comes to cooking and food preparation at home. In the front of the book there's an abbreviation and a glossary of terms, just to give a sort of a brief introduction into recipes and how to interpret recipes. People might not know how to cook at home, and it just gives ideas and hopefully a good place to start and to give people confidence to just have a go.
I think that's brilliant, and it's a lovely, lovely production. So jolly well done, Jenny. I think it's a lovely idea, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more community cookbooks that you might be wishing to produce, and you're probably working on your next book already. So thank you so much, Jenny.
The Community Cookbook is not available in the usual places because the book is a community-funded initiative, as Sue and Jenny mentioned in that feature. However, you can order a copy via her website, jennyjeffries.co.uk, which also contains a downloadable digital copy. You can purchase all of Jenny's other books there, and her website also contains lots of other interesting things, such as her many food articles and academic papers, even links to our past podcast interviews with her.
Coming up on Flavour here on Cambridge Radio, we take a trip to Dovecote Cellar in Barton. We'll be having more news, wine tasting news and updates from social media, a newspaper review and our jobs roundup. So we'll be back after the break. Don't go away.
Cambridge Radio.
Cambridge Radio podcasts tell the story of our city and the people who live here. Get your cultural fix in Cambridge Arts Roundup.
David was decorating places like St. James's Palace and other grand estates. What's really more sort of surprising is that it is here in this particular terraced house in Cambridge.
Taste the local food scene in Flavour.
Cooking with stuff that you've grown and that you've grown like within a community is so satisfying.
Follow your local teams in From the Terraces.
It was always going to be a bit of a challenge, and the first half kind of said it was, and the second half said absolutely it wasn't. We destroyed them in the end.
Listen to your favourite Cambridge podcast on Radio Player or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Cambridge.
Cambridge Radio.
Welcome back to Flavour. Time for a bit more news now. The Queen Edith Beer Festival is coming up, and it's a weekend full of real ales, a sizzling barbecue, a lineup of live bands, and it runs from Thursday the 30th July to Saturday the 1st of August.
If you're a coffee connoisseur, then Coffee World, the roastery just off of Milton Roundabout, has a limited edition blend for the summer, with vibrant notes of peach iced tea, Parma violets and blueberries with delicate jasmine florals to give that bright, refreshing taste. This is a limited edition blend though, so it might be worth investigating before it's gone.
We often mention Flourish in Hildesheim for all their organic fruit and veg and their popular produce boxes, but this week their flower field has opened with dahlias, cosmos and sunflowers ready to burst. They operate a pick-your-own policy, so as Flourish would say, grab a pair of snips and a bucket and come and enjoy yourself. We've also got news from Sweet Pea Market Garden. On the 25th of July from 9:30, there's a community day. You can come and go as you please, but please sign up on the Sweet Pea Market Garden website.
The Cambridge Blue on Gwyder Street is celebrating a one-year anniversary of the Wonky Kitchens team joining their pub. This is going to feature live music, a barbecue and a tap takeover by the award-winning independent Siren Craft Brew House, who have been consistently placed amongst the top 100 breweries in the world. The party is on Tuesday the 14th of July at the Cambridge Blue.
And here's something a bit different. Volunteers wanted. A pioneering Cambridge study is looking for volunteers to take part in a 1-hour session exploring the correlation between music and the immune system. It involves 4 quick finger pricks, but you will get a scoop of Jack's Gelato ice cream for your troubles. So, it takes place Thursday the 16th of July. It's in the city centre. You must be over 18 and booking is essential. So email Rubina at osmian.com. That's Rubina at ozmian.com. It's one scoop for you, a giant step for science.
This year's summer shindig takes place at the Romsey Rec in Vinery Road, featuring live music and family games and crafts, and bring your own picnic, they say. It's on Sunday the 19th of July at 12 noon.
Looking ahead, we've got Coffee Fest 2026 at the Yard in Newnham Street, Ely. Run by Silver Oak Coffee, there'll be latte art workshops, coffee tasting sessions featuring Silver Oak's full range of coffees, with a goodie bag too, brewing demonstrations and one-to-one coffee roasting experiences. It's on Saturday the 12th of September and it's free entry. You can find out more on their website at silveroakcoffee.co.uk.
Also this September is the return of the Biodiversity and Regenerative Food Festival on Parker's Piece. Now, this is an event that brings together organic growers, community groups, charities, bakers, street food vendors and many more, all focusing on regenerative and agroecological food production. It's Tom and Barbara's dream from the good life, probably, and it will all be there on Parker's Piece. It's free and it's on Sunday the 27th of September. Now for our next feature today, Matthew Juggins, owner of Dovecote Cellar at Burwash Manor in Barton, talks about how mad dogs and Englishmen can drink wine in the midday sun.
It's hot outside. One of the favourite wines for summer seems to be Rosé. And why is Rosé so popular now?
I suppose the short answer is that Rosé is popular because it's simple, easy drinking and refreshing. Pink wine has actually had quite a varied history. It goes back quite a long way, and in ancient winemaking, it's actually likely that red wines were in fact closer in colour to today's rosés. Darker wines were considered too harsh. They didn't have the efficiency and technology of modern winemaking. So I won't get too much into the weeds with that. Suffice to say that it wasn't until much more recently that rosé took on its more modern role as the sort of fun, easygoing alternative to white and red. Really, that was kind of after World War II, when there were two slightly fizzy, slightly sweet wines from Portugal, Mateus and Lancers, that got released and very heavily marketed and just totally dominated the market. And then they were followed by the American blush style, which similarly kind of medium sweet but generally more still. More recently, in the 21st century, we've kind of come back round to favouring dry rosé, particularly the clean, fresh Provence style from the south of France. And I suppose that association with the south coast of France hasn't done anything to hurt its image of summery fun in the UK market. But really, it's because rosés are light, easygoing and refreshing. And alcohol-wise, they're no different to light-bodied whites, really. Often people think they're slightly lower in ABV. Generally, they're kind of similar. They're only lower in ABV when they're higher in sweetness, which is the same with any wine, but dry rosés, pretty much equivalent. Oh, and actually, one thing that comes up a lot for me is this question of the paleness of the rosé. Well, the paleness of the colour has nothing whatsoever to do with quality or flavour. That's a total myth.
So what is it related to, then?
It's consumer preference, really. There's not really much more to it than that. It's an aesthetic thing, and winemakers will take that into consideration when making their rosés. They'll take the colour into consideration, but not from a flavour point of view, not from a quality point of view, simply from a consumer preference point of view.
What do you find is the most popular?
Pale Provence rosés. It's you know, these have been the most heavily marketed, especially in a social media age. We've all heard of things like Whispering Angel and Miraval, haven't we? They pop up everywhere, and so I think that they've captured the zeitgeist in many ways. So that's the most popular style. I have several other rosés downstairs which are equally good and equally popular, but my South Coast Provence style rosé is by far the bestseller.
So what are the darker rosés then? Do you stock them at all?
The colour has more to do with the grape used, the grape or grapes used, and the winemaking than anything else. If the wine is sitting ever so slightly longer on the skins, it'll get more colour, but there's still very little skin contact with a rosé. Very, very little, even for a more dark coloured rosé. There's really not much of it. I've got one or two downstairs that are not super pale, but they're still light and fresh and easy drinking.
Are they all French ones?
No, actually, I've got a little bit of a range at the moment. I've got rosés from Italy, Spain and Portugal as well right now, which are all rather lovely.
One last question in relation to rosés. Is it always just red grapes used, or is there sometimes a blend of red and white grapes?
It's not uncommon to get what we call a co-ferment, which is a blend of red and white grapes. That's not uncommon at all, because the juice of grapes is, with a few small exceptions, is always just white. So the colour is always coming from the skins, basically. Whether that's red or white grapes, it doesn't matter. So as long as you've got at least some red grape skins in there, you're going to get the colour, but the juice itself can come from either.
The next question I want to ask you is about pétillant wines, or you call them Pet Nat, and why is this?
Well, Pet Nat is just short for pétillant naturel, which actually literally translates as naturally sparkling. So this is the oldest method for sparkling wine production, basically. These are sparkling wines made using what's known as the méthode ancestrale, which predates the champagne method. It's the oldest way of making sparkling wine. And in brief, what you do is, instead of undergoing a secondary fermentation to get the fizz, which is much more common with the modern methods, you know, such as the champagne method or the Charmat method, which gives us things like champagne and Prosecco. What happens is the wine is bottled before the first fermentation has finished, which allows the process to complete in the bottle. So the upshot of that is that they're more rustic, let's say. They're a bit less refined than champagne or Charmat method wines. They usually have fewer or less fine bubbles, because this method basically provides less control over the process. But the good part is that they're light and easy drinking, and they're quite often rather aromatic and quite characterful. So they're really good fun wines, you know, if you want an easy drinking fizz. They're not, you know, I wouldn't say that they're better or worse, or that I recommend them more or less for summer drinking than any other type of fizz. Anything that's a good quality sparkling wine, properly chilled, will always be refreshing. But Pet Nats are having a bit of a moment right now, I think. They're pretty on trend.
So what would you have as examples of pet nat wine?
Well, they can come from anywhere. I actually don't currently stock any pet nat wines, not for any particular reason. It's not because I don't like them. It's just because I have other exciting fizzes that I wanted to showcase. But yeah, they're not from any particular region or anything. Because it's the method, so you can get pet nat wines from just about anywhere.
Okay, so, I was thinking Vino Verde is probably the most well-known from my perspective. Is that right? Is that a pet nat wine?
So Vinho Verde is a region, actually. It's a regional designation up in the north of Portugal. What we normally associate as being the classic Vinho Verde style is basically, it's technically a still wine, but they do often have a very, very slight spritz to them. They're not fully sparkling, but there is a spritz there, and that's because they're bottled super young. Basically, that's the hallmark of Vinho Verde. So there's various different permitted grapes, because it's a regional designation. What characterises them is this really early bottling, a bit like Beaujolais Nouveau, harvested, bottled, released. Right. Really, really quickly, within a few months. And so that means that they're super fresh, but they also need to be consumed super fresh.
And do you have any Vinho Verde?
Yeah, I've got a really, really lovely Vinho Verde from a winery called Quinta do Azevedo. It's a blend of two grapes, Alvarinho and Loureiro, and that's definitely always popular this time of year. Good Vinho Verde is so refreshing.
I think I've had some from yourself, and I would totally agree with that. It's lovely. What about pairings with the typical foods one's going to be eating when it's so hot? So either fish, seafood, or, of course, the ever-popular barbecued meats.
I should start off by saying that when it comes to wine pairing, don't listen to all the rules you get told, because ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one golden rule that actually matters, which is drink what you like, how you like it. In the end, that's all that anyone really ever cares about, right? As long as you're enjoying yourself, nothing else matters. But of course, I do have some tips and recommendations if you really want to get into matching up your food with your wine. So let's focus on the barbecue, because obviously people do seafood and meats on the barbecue this time of year, don't they? It's the kind of big popular thing to do, and I find that people often find barbecues tricky when it comes to wine. So I'll focus in on that. For barbecue seafood, my go-to would be something fairly fruit forward and with a bit of substance to it, not too sort of super crisp and clean. So something like an Albarino or something similar. So I've got a really nice Albarino Reserve from Uruguay, or I've got a classic Galician blend. I've got a lovely Falangina from Campania in Italy, and I've got a Portuguese Loureiro. All of these are, going to cover most bases when it comes to grilled seafood. For meat, lighter meats, things like chicken, pulled pork, sausages even, you can go for light chillable reds, because that's always nice and refreshing, obviously. So I've got, for example, a really nice Garnacha, or Valencian blend, red blend, or a good Pinot Noir or Beaujolais. These are all going to work. If you wanted something white, or you've got some sort of nice rub or sort of sticky barbecue-y sauce, then something like a Riesling or a Gewürztraminer. Really, really nice. A dry one. You can get dry ones. But they're aromatic and fruity, and sometimes can have a little bit more body as well, but it's really the intensity of flavour that you want there. And then for steaks and burgers, your classic barbecue fare, I would be inclined to go for a heartier, more full-bodied red, personally, even if that means not necessarily having something that cold. Typical classics, Malbec, Rhone blends, so your Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre blends are great here. Or if you want something that packs a punch without going too heavy, nice Nero d'Avola from Sicily, or my best-selling Georgian Saperavi. These are both great picks. So they're both full of character, full of fruit, a little bit spicy, and again, have bags and bags of flavour intensity, because that's what you really want to do with pairing. You want to match intensity. Grilled meats, this method of cooking automatically adds intensity of flavour, so you need a wine that's not gonna get lost. And if you want a slightly more creative option, I would always put in a shout for a good dry Lambrusco. So I have one, the Cletocchiarli Vigneto Cialdini, Grasparosa Castelvetro.
Love the name, love the name.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's the full name. Anyway, this is an indulgent, fruity, sparkling red that will hit all the right notes, and it's chillable and refreshing as well. So that's going to be one that I think is... And Lambrusco's having a bit of a comeback at the moment, I think. Dry Lambrusco, because people don't realise sometimes that it can be dry. So a good dry sparkling red, that's going to be a cracking option, I think.
That sounds really good fun. And is it total sacrilege to put ice in your red wine?
I wouldn't call it sacrilege, no, but I wouldn't recommend anything that's going to water down the wine. Chilling the wine down first is the best way, although people often over-chill wine, so don't overdo it, because if a wine gets too cold, then you'll lose a lot of aroma. Chill the wine down properly beforehand. And then if you've got something like an ice bucket to keep the bottle cold, or, just stick it back in the fridge, just to keep the rest of the bottle cold while you're drinking your glass, that's what I would always advocate rather than sticking ice in. Because, you'll keep the wine cold in glass, but you'll also lose a lot of flavour as it gets watered down. If you've got something nice, then that might not necessarily be my go-to.
So, any other tips for summer drinking?
Don't drink too much. I think that's actually an important thing. A little bit of alcohol is great. It's refreshing, and even if you're having something relatively low in ABV, like a nice, kind of sessionable beer, that can actually help to keep you hydrated as well. But once you get past a certain point, it kind of does a bit more harm than good. So I would actually say, watch your intake and don't have too many, more than one or two, because otherwise you'll increase your risk of your risk of things like heat stroke and dehydration. So,
and excuse the reversing, Laurie, because of course we are recording this at Dovecote Cellar at Burwash Manor. Indeed, lots of deliveries. So thank you so much, Matthew.
Always a pleasure, Sue. Thanks for having me.
And Matthew also does one-to-one wine consultations and has this really great subscription wine club. He's a very knowledgeable guy. And you've had a look at his website, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, it's really good because he makes a big deal of demystifying wines so that everybody can understand it. And he's got some great articles there as well. Again, one is like a jargon buster. Another one about the new world wines versus old wines, old wines, things like that. Really readable. It's a good website. You should definitely check it out.
Oh, he's a great guy.
There's Supercharge with their track Wine, 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 which means, of course, time for the wine news. And we begin with the Cambridge Wine Merchants because they have their Beginner's Guide to Wine evenings in full swing now. The next one is on Friday the 17th of July at their King's Parade branch, where they'll be tasting German wines. You'll need to book for that one, though, because they are really popular. And while you're online, why not check out what else they've got on too, including craft evenings and supper clubs. Their next supper club, for example, is on the 18th of July, and that's going to feature Thai dishes from Wok Around the Clock.
Great name. Bordeaux may be known for its iconic reds, but this month Cambridge Wine Merchants is encouraging its customers to explore the region's other wines, refreshing rosés, crisp whites and sparkling wines. There'll be specially selected pours, events and exclusive offers. In their words, there's never been a better time to discover a different side of Bordeaux.
Well, here's a bit of beer news now for the wine section. The Cambridge Blue, who we mentioned earlier, have added a new ale to their pumps. It's called Stranger's Blonde. It's a Belgian beer with a zesty orange tang at a whopping 8% ABV. They say this ale was a cross-channel collaboration between 3 breweries designed over WhatsApp. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Cambridge Blue pub is on Gwyder Street, just off Mill Road.
And finally, on the 31st of July, there is a wine and cheese tasting on the Cam. This is in collaboration with Grape Britannia. It lasts 90 minutes and includes 3 wine and cheese pairings, a bottle of water and a trip along the backs. More details are on the Traditional Punting Company website. There's the music signalling time for news from social media and a reminder that you can find Flavour on Instagram. We are at FlavourCam, and you can also contact us by email, flavour@cambridge.radio.
Yeah, this morning, Bury St Edmunds Farmers Market has put a notice on Instagram saying that tomorrow they have a market from 10 till 3, so people perhaps who live in the east side of Cambridgeshire, that's an easy one for you to get to. And we've heard from Sweet Pea Market Garden as well on Instagram, which, I have been wondering about how AD is getting on in the heat, because Flourish have been saying how difficult the heat conditions are. But anyway, AD's managing to keep going, but she's put various plants in the ground, leeks, beetroots and things like that, lettuces. But cabbages, broccoli and kale have been severely set back by weevils, which is a brand new pest to us. But again, Flourish mentioned weevils recently, and I think it's become...
Evil weevils.
Yes, I think it's become a real problem. Briar Farm have got another sort of temperature-related posting saying that there's just one peach on our tree this year because of a late frost. Anyway, they ate it.
Good, I hope it was delicious.
The Vanguard Refillery has extended Route 2, because you may know that Vanguard has these routes and you can get stuff delivered to your home by them. They're now including Royston on their Route 2. So you can see all about that via their Instagram account. Yeah, well, that's sort of pretty much it for Instagram this morning, or social media this morning. We don't only look at Instagram. And on to the newspaper review. And in today's Financial Times, Jay Rayner is reviewing Margaret's in Chesterton Road.
Very good.
And he says it serves a clever combination of fixed menu and a la carte. There's a short choice at mains and desserts, but it starts with a fixed wave of snacks, which is one of the things I really liked about it.
So
actually.
did I,
The
yes,
snacks at the
yes.
beginning were just great. Anyway, so if you're interested in what Jay Rayner has to say about Margaret's, it's in today's Financial Times, available in the library.
Is it paywalled?
Is it?
Is it paywalled in the sense of you can't
Yes,
read
it is.
it?
It is. Yes, it
oh
is.
well.
Yeah,
Ho
yeah.
hum.
But in Feast, today's Guardian Feast, which isn't paywalled, there's a lot about summer food, starting with Mira Soda's roller coaster apple muffins. That's something that caught your eye, Sue.
Yes, I rather like the idea of these are sort of sweet muffins, but they've got cottage cheese in them to increase the protein content. And she specifically suggests that they're for her children who really get the munchies, so with apples and nice dried fruit. So I thought, oh yes, I might have a go at making
That
some
does
of
sound
those.
really very good. In fact, there's loads of good things. In fact, there's something which is something that I'm going to be using, I think, because I've got one courgette plant growing, and I know it will produce more courgettes than we can possibly manage. So anyway, here's some new recipes for courgettes. Anything there that takes your fancy?
Yes, I love the idea of slow-cooked courgettes with ricotta on toast, which sounds so simple. And in fact, I did a version of that last night, slow-cooked courgettes, it was ricotta. Oh, sorry, and some anchovies and tomatoes. Oh, it was lovely.
The anchovies,
it was really nice.
Yeah, and then there's pine nut crusted feta and roasted broccoli salad. And you were going to say something about this dish, which I think is a South African dish. Is it the chakakaka or the chicken wings with mango you were going to?
Well, the chakakaka is really quite interesting, but it has baked beans in it, which is...
does it?
Yeah, down towards the end. So if you're a baked bean lover, and this is quite an interesting sort of almost like a salady type thing, which South Africans have. Sorry, it's shakalaka, not shakakaka, shakalaka,
right.
which South Africans have for their braais, and braais are the very traditional barbecues that. A really interesting idea to have, heavily meaty, but also chickeny as well.
Yes, well, that sounds good. What else is there? There's cardinales, probably mispronounced, with apricot compote and masala cream, and English-grown apricots very much available now.
Delicious.
Despite the late frost, I was rather wondering whether there would be any this year because the frost was late. There's a recipe by Marie Frank for them, and also strawberry shortcakes. These things are just so delicious. And also... so you attracted to Felicity Cloak the perfect Ouija lamb skewers.
Yes, Ouija. I'm glad you told me about the pronunciation of this, because I mentally have it as Uyghur rather than Ouija.
Anyway, it's a sort of Chinese Uyghur group in China.
Yeah, and these look really nice, sort of savoury skewers, and really perfect thing to have again on a barbecue.
It's amazing that Felicity Cloak has been doing this column for
A long while.
Certainly more than 10 years.
Yes.
Every week. And she's still finding new things to cook. It's just fantastic. What else is there? Rolled pavlova with strawberries and sumac.
Yes, the idea of a rolled pavlova. In fact, it's a roulade. They're quite simple to make. But what I was attracted about was the idea of sumac.
Yes.
Because I first came across this probably more years ago than I care to mention. And it's a sort of citrus substitute. It's from a plant. It's red. And it's got quite a citrusy taste to it.
Yes. Well, yes, I've got sumac, but I can't remember what it tastes like because it's getting a bit old now. It doesn't taste of anything, actually. Rachel Roddy has a recipe for pasta with courgette, spring onion and raw tomato salsa. And I think we shouldn't go without mentioning Grace Dent's review of a restaurant, which ends by saying, "We ordered golden parcel wontons, which reminded me of M&S party food, and then sat struggling in our seats like children in detention, dying to be set free. A woman across the room was poking her electric blue pudding dumplings with a face that resembled Edvard Munch's Scream."
Doesn't sound like she liked it then.
She was not impressed.
Oh dear, shame.
Did either of you get detention at school?
Well, quite often, actually.
Really?
Yes.
No comment. No comment.
And what about you, Matt?
I did once, and it was thoroughly deserved.
Once?
Yeah, I was reasonably good, and then the one time I tried to cover my tracks, I hadn't done my homework, and neither of the rest of the class. And of course, the teacher picks me out and goes, "Where's your work?" And then I made up some line, and he goes, "Let's see your workbook." And I had to pull it out, and I could hear all around me the rest of the class. He opens the book and he looks down. He says nothing. He looks at me, and the rest of the class goes, "Ooh." So I had the detention. The only thing, I just wish the rest of the class got detention as well.
Yes,
not fair. Not
harsh.
But I was quite interested in that first piece on the first page of Feast. Was it the roller coaster muffin, did you say?
Yes, roller coaster apple muffins.
Yeah, I was just wondering what qualifies it as a roller coaster muffin, because you mentioned cottage cheese, and I know for a fact.
I don't think it's related to
no,
the food.
it's not. No.
Oh.
She says the story is because roller coaster foods, due to her children's obsession with being allowed on particular weird adventures in Chessington World of Adventures, so help them to get higher up on the height chart so that her children can go on the really, really scary rides. So high protein muffins.
I just wonder, because I only ever eat cottage cheese on a roller coaster. So.
Well, I hope the people don't get it flung in their face as you go down the dip.
There's the familiar tune of Green Onions signalling the start of our jobs section, and we're going to begin with the Linton Kitchen, who have 3 positions going. The first is for a full-time supervisor. It's about a 45-hour week. You'll get Fridays and Saturdays off. Next, they're looking for a kitchen assistant for Wednesdays to Saturdays. That's a 35-hour week where you'll be prepping lunch rushes and keeping the kitchen clean and organised. And finally, at their Hildesheim branch, they're looking for a barista to work Fridays through to Mondays, and that's for 30 hours a week. Now, if any of those positions interest you, just contact them via their Instagram, which is the Linton Kitchen. That's all one word, and they will send you a full job description.
Midsummer House, East Anglia's only 2 Michelin-starred kitchen, needs a chef de partie, offering a competitive salary and staff accommodation. It could be your next step in fine dining. Email your interest to mshkitchen@midsummerhouse.co.uk.
The Kiosk on the Green, which can be found on Jesus Green by the bridge, are looking for a new team member to join them over the summer and possibly into autumn. The role includes preparing and serving food and drinks, running the till, and keeping everything running smoothly. No previous experience necessary. This is a part-time position. Just send an email to hello@kioskonthegreen.co.uk.
Bald Brothers Coffee need a prep chef. 6 hours on a Monday, 6 hours on a Thursday. You must have excellent knife skills and a food hygiene qualification. So just contact Bald Brothers via their Instagram account.
Cafe Aromi needs hospitality enthusiasts to join their growing team. They're looking for cafe managers and pizza chefs. Email your CV to jobs@aromi.co.uk.
And finally, Flourish are in need of delivery drivers. Pack Barn team members and seasonal harvest staff, specifically a salad grower and a flower grower for the summer. Just drop a message to Flourish via their website, flourishproduce.co.uk, and click on Jobs.
And that takes us to the end of our programme for today. Don't forget that Flavour is here on alternate Saturdays at 12 noon. We're repeated on Mondays at 2 p.m. And of course, we are available as a podcast from all the usual places. But if you can't wait, just hit that on-demand button on the Cambridge Radio website.
Yeah, that's all from us for today. After the news at 1 p.m. is Christine Schneider, and at 2 p.m. Gavin Richards will be hosting an outside broadcast live from Bar Hill. We'll be back on the 25th of July with lots more food and drink news, jobs and features. So until then, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.